Hey everybody, this is the Longhorn Confidential, and I am Danny Davis with the Austin American-Statesman. Every time around this week, we try to bring on someone who has some insight on whoever the Longhorns are playing. Up next for Texas is San Jose State, Saturday at 11 o'clock over at DKR. ABC will televise if you are watching from home, so heading down to the home opener. But I asked around, said, who knows some stuff about San Jose State? I just kept hearing Aaron Johnson, who is joining me today from the San Jose Mercury News. Aaron is a Spartan himself, recent graduate of San Jose State, 2025, so a lot younger than me, but we're gonna, has a lot better hair too. But we're gonna talk talk San Jose State instead of hair. Aaron, how you doing? How are things out in San Jose?
They're doing great, man. The team is excited for this opportunity to play someone like the Longhorns, and they're looking forward to just showcase what they got on Saturday.
San Jose State hasn't been to Austin since 2017, and that team that they brought out in 2017 was not good. They're on their way to being 2-11 that season. Texas ended up winning that one 56 to nothing, but things have seemingly kind of turned around in San Jose. They've reached a bowl, I think, in 4 of the last 5 seasons. They're expected to at least contend for a Mountain West championship. So, what is kind of the vibe in San Jose? How is kind of this program going? What's the trajectory out there?
Well, I mean, expectations were very high coming into this season for what we would be able to accomplish. But if you were following what happened in week one, we were 14-point favorites against Central Michigan University and came out completely flat, and we were not able to come on top. Really, the vibe, the reason we were so hyped up this season was because a lot of to do with Nick Nash's season last year. If you're unfamiliar with Nick Nash, he was a finalist for the Blitnikoff Award. He, I believe, finished third in voting, but he had a phenomenal season. The first player in San Jose history to be nominated for that award, and he now is on the practice squad for the Atlanta Falcons. And with our offensive coordinator, Craig Stutzman, he calls it the spread and shred offense. It's kind of like an offshoot of the run and shoot sort of thing. And, wherever he's been, that offense has put up big numbers, like whether it was with, Texas State or like where he was before San Jose State. Just there always is one receiver with coming in there that gets around like 1,000 yards. So last season I was Nick Nash. So that we expected the offense to come out, firing against Central Michigan. But Walker Egan, our quarterback, he had 3 turnovers, came out first drive, forced one in the double coverage, turnover. Second drive, strip sack. Third drive, 3 and out. Fourth drive, another interception. The offense, they're missing a lot of IDs. The run game didn't get going. The passing game didn't get going outside of our new transfer from Sacramento State, Danny Scudero, who kind of was playing in the slot, the Nick Nash type role. He had 189 receiving yards. So he looked great. Defense looked great, but we did not see the offensive firepower that we expected to see against Central Michigan. It's going to be a lot harder because we're playing a much better team this week. So
Kind of leads me to this next question. You mentioned a lot about Nick Nash in the season he had last year. I'm curious, was Nick a one of a kind of player, or does this offense, this Strutzman offense, is it capable of producing a high caliber receiver like that every season, or is that just a one off last year?
Nick Nash, he was a very talented player, but at every stop, Stutzman has like kind of had a guy put up those numbers. Nick Nash is great. He plays the ball in the air very well. But Stutzman's offense is just it's pass heavy. It's very pass heavy. Sometimes I feel like there's so many games I watched last year where he'll run the ball in the very first play and then just throw it every single time until the drive was over or however it ended. So someone on that team is always going to have big yards. Whoever that is, it's kind of switched from year to year, but every stop he's had someone put up those big numbers.
The last year, part of that magical season for the Spartans, which included like a 5 overtime game, then in the year in a bowl game, you were able to make it out to Hawaii. But they beat Stanford last year, and Stanford, is not the Stanford of years past, but that's still a Power Four school from the ACC. Is there a belief in San Jose that hey, this could happen again? That the Spartans have a chance in Austin this week?
In Austin specifically.
Yeah, is there a belief that they have a chance to win this game, or is this kind of a we're just trying to get better and get prepared for the rest of the season kind of deal?
Oh man. I mean, Coach Ken, he said in his Coach Ken Niumatalolo, he said in his press conference that we're going to have to play at our complete best in order to even have a shot against these guys. So, I mean, we're 5 touchdown underdogs, right? I mean, in my opinion, I don't really see us winning this game at all. But there's at least some belief in the team and like around that we're going to come out trying, we're going to come out firing, we're going to give it our best shot, really. But I feel like after I think we have some stuff to clean up on offense right now because we kind of have a whole new wide receiver room outside of one returner that's going to be getting playing time, and I think it's going to be tough to clean it up against a team that is ranked number 6 right now.
Obviously, both teams, both Texas and San Jose State, are coming off season opening losses. What were your takeaways from the 16-14 loss to it was Central Michigan, correct?
Yeah, Central Michigan. Yeah, man, my biggest takeaway was just kind of what I mentioned earlier. The offense just kind of came out flat. But since I talked about that, our defense played very well. Jordan Pollard, who your head coach mentioned in the press conference, he's a great downhill guy. He had 15 total tackles. Our offense would turn the ball over and put Central Michigan in great field position. The defense, held them to field goals twice, and we had a big goal line stand on 4th and 1. The defense looked great. They struggled in the first half against the run. I believe they had like 96 around their rushing yards in the first quarter, but then we kind of locked in and really limited their production. They only scored 3 points the entire second half. And despite all the turnovers and everything, we were in the game to the very end, missed field goal at the very end for a 33-yarder is the reason we lost. And then another big takeaway was I don't know how familiar you are with this team, but last season we kind of had a quarterback controversy where we had Egett, who's going to be starting against Texas, was coming off the bench. We had a quarterback, Emmett Brown, and then we just randomly switched Brown and Egett mid-game, and Egett came in, led the team down, touchdown, and then there was a couple weeks where they were just switching them out seemingly at random, like one play Brown pass, Egett would come in next play. And then after a while, we lost that game. And then Coach Kinn came out and said he doesn't want to see that happen again. Like, we can't do that. We have to pick one guy to be our quarterback because it seemed like our offensive coordinator, Stutzman, was the guy kind of making that call. And interestingly enough, in the Central Michigan game to start the third quarter, we brought in our freshman quarterback, Tama Amasone, and he came in and just ran the ball. Like, only designed run plays. And they're very open about he's getting used in run packages. So I don't know if we'll see that coming into the Texas game because it's kind of a different scale of defense, but we could see some quarterback switching from what it seems again. So that would be interesting. And then another thing is the run game didn't get going really. Stutzman said there's going to be an emphasis on the run game, and it never really got going. There was a couple nice runs. Honestly, our best rusher was our freshman backup quarterback that game. So we'll see if he gets in. Those are my takeaways. It's just, yeah, like I said, the offense just was not as productive as we expected.
University of Texas, we can't really go more than a couple of days if you're on this beat without talking about the quarterback. So let's just talk about quarterbacks. What is Walker Egett? He's a 5th-year guy, kind of an older veteran presence. So you'd expect some maturity at that position. But what does he bring to the San Jose State offense?
He's a strong arm, great with the deep ball, tall, 6'3". That's one of the reasons they picked him over Emmett, because they liked his height, they liked his ability to read the field. He struggled last week, but that's not really the Walker that I saw when he was playing at his best last year. So I expect him to turn around later in the season. I think maybe it was just, first week jitters, maybe coming in a little too overconfident against Central Michigan. Maybe we were already thinking about, oh my God, we're going to Texas next week. But, I expect some great things from him. He's, like I said, very big pocket presence, strong arm, and he's second year in the spread and shred offense, and it's a very complex offense to understand from what I heard, since there's a ton of option routes that basically both the quarterback and the receiver need to make the same read at the same time. So sometimes that can lead to some miscommunications, but second year for him in the system, I expect him to play better as the season goes on.
You mentioned Jordan Pollard earlier, the senior linebacker. Is there another name to know on this Spartan defense?
Yeah, Jalen Alpalt-Williams. He's our safety. He's been pretty good. He's been a starter for a couple years. Jalen Boehner, pretty good. Nafafanga, he's our D tackle. He had an amazing game in the trenches because Central Michigan was running like 13 personnel, really loading the box, just kind of like trying to use the running game, and it worked originally, but definitely stepped up. And then Noah McNeil Franklin, he's kind of a guy who had he's a linebacker for us. He had a couple big games for us last year. He's going to be getting more playing. Well, he is the starter now because we had some guys graduate. Tanella Latu is another guy to watch. So those are some names on the defense definitely stand out. We do have a freshman corner starting, Jalen Thomas. So that's something to watch out for. I'm sure Arch Manning might be attacking him just to see what he's got. But because we didn't really get to see how he looked because Central Michigan just kind of ran the ball so much last game.
I guess before I get you out of here, this San Jose State team, do you think they can contend for a Mountain West championship? Obviously, Boise State kind of runs the show over
Mhm.
there, but is this a team that, you know, things may not go great this weekend, but down the road is contending for a title?
Yeah, I mean, I can see them contending for a title. I mean, most people, from what I've seen, the hype around the team was super high coming to week one and kind of got squashed, but I still believe it that we can contend. We almost, well, we were up like 14 on Boise State last year before we blew it in the end, but I can see this team competing. They just need to figure it out. And I think maybe getting humbled these first 2 weeks could maybe potentially help us lock in for the rest of the season. So I like our chances. I still think the offense is great, and if the defense looks as good as they did against Central Michigan, against when we get into conference, I have some confidence.
I really appreciate it, Aaron. That's Aaron Johnson. He covers the San Jose State Spartans for the San Jose Mercury News. Recent San Jose State graduate himself. Used to be the managing editor at the Spear, which is a great student publication name. I was jealous when I was doing some background research. That's a great name. If you want to look him up on Twitter, it is at Voz underscore Aaron one. So give him a like, give him a follow, read his work on the Spartans as we get ready for this weekend's kickoff. Once again, 11 o'clock at DKR, home opener for the Longhorns. You can watch it if you're back in San Jose or watch a Longhorn from afar. You can watch it on the ABC this weekend. But Aaron, we really appreciate the time and all your insight that you had to give us today.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
We'll see you all at the stadium on Saturday.